You're with TV1. We have a few minutes in hand before we cross to the Curiosity Show, and we thought you might also be curious about what you can see in Open University next Tuesday. We'll be taking a look at the development of rail transportation and the Victorian steam locomotive.
Number 1000, the sole survivor of this notable class, dates from 1902 and was rebuilt into its present form 12 years later. Nevertheless, it embodies many of the developments of the Victorian age. Water in huge quantities is stored in the tender, which is basically a water carrier.
Picture is very similar to the one which Puritz brought to you to show you. Can you remember your reaction when he brought that to you?
Yes. The thrill of seeing so much information on it. Because what we realized was that if only we could interpret it, it was there.
What's there?
There was sufficient information in all those spots,
yes,
to give an answer, if only we were clever enough to find it out. The crystal was telling us something if we could only interpret it.
So by measuring only intensities, phase information was missing and the diffraction pattern couldn't be interpreted.
Now, we can use a computer display to fit amino acids to particular regions of the three-dimensional map. This tyrosine side chain, number 248 in sequence, can be rotated and fitted into the electron density.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today we're going to show you a famous boat and an almost unknown insect.
And that's not all.
We'll also show you some matchbox birds. So why don't you join us?
Drinks are finished and the show is commencing. Watch very carefully. When I say right, I want you to flick the straw very hard with your fingers. Here we go. Right! Isn't that amazing? Yeah. It exploded. Let me take yours and we'll do it a little more slowly and see what happens. What you need to do is to first of all pinch the ends of the straw very tightly between your fingers and then start winding it. When you do so, lean the straw across so that it forms a sort of a Z shape or an S shape.
Right.
Okay? Once again, as soon as it's wound up and I say right, flick with your fingers. Because as I wind, I'm really compressing the air inside the straw. It's all very tightly packed in there. Okay, now flick it.
Terrific.
And it goes off with a mighty bang as the air rushes out and rips the straw apart. Try it on your friends.
Right, quickly now. What are 3 sports you win by going backwards? Time's up. One of them, you've guessed it, it's rowing. Another one, also in the water, backstroke. Third one, nothing to do with water, but it is to do with a rope. Got it? It's tug of war.
I'll mention a date, and I want you to say what that date means to you. You ready? 25th of December. Christmas Day, that was easy. 25th of April. You had to think for a while, didn't you? But many of you said Anzac Day, a day on which we remember many of the soldiers from Australia who fought in battles all over the world. What about this one? 26th of September. What does that mean to you? Tell you what, I'll give you 2 clues. One of them is on my shirt, and the other one is behind me. And it is, of course, the boat Australia 2. The boat which, after 132 years, won for this country, Australia, the America's Cup. And if you get the opportunity to see that boat, you want to see the amazing blue-winged keel, the mysterious thing underneath the water that helped it to win. That boat has been travelling around Australia on the back of a truck for people to look at. I was amazed when I had the chance to go along and see it, and I'm sure you will be as well when it comes near you. One of the things that impressed me was seeing the boat set up. It came off the back of the truck, was gently lowered with a crane, the mast was erected, and the whole thing was absolutely enormous. I was impressed by its length and also the height of the mast. And I guess if you had the opportunity to see it, you did as I did and looked at that keel from every possible angle. It's an amazing device, and it weighs more than the rest of the boat put together. Made mostly of lead. That's Australia 2, the boat that won the America's Cup on the 26th of September, 1983. Well, how did the unusual keel of Australia 2 help it to win the America's Cup? I'm glad you asked. Before we get to the answer, let's have a look at a normal boat with a normal keel. The keel, of course, is the thin, heavy bit that pokes down into the water, and it helps to keep the boat stable for a couple of reasons. One is because it's heavy, and 2 is because when the boat leans over, as wind pushes against the sail, that keel has to push against water, and that in turn helps to keep the boat upright. Now, the designer of Australia 2 was Ben Lexon, a brilliant designer who came up with a novel idea for making a keel. In fact, it was such a novel idea that the whole Australian team, Alan Bond and John Bertrand, decided to keep it a secret. And so every time the boat was lifted out of the water, it had green canvas around the bottom, hiding the keel. Brilliant idea, and people started to puzzle. They thought, what is beneath it all? And a few secrets got out, and they said, well, we think it's got something poking out of the side, wings or winglets. And they were right. In fact, if we have a look at one of Lexon's original drawings, this is what it looked like in his mind, and then on paper, and then finally on the boat itself. Well, how on earth can wings help a boat to sail faster through the water? Let's start off with a normal boat, Liberty, the